More than 140 dead and some 200 wounded is the latest death toll from yesterday's attack, which occurred just before the start of a concert at the Crocus City Hall in Krasnogorsk near Moscow. According to witnesses, several men armed with automatic weapons and flamethrowers entered the building. There was a series of explosions and a fire, resulting in the collapse of the building's roof. There were 5 or 6 of them. They just walked in and fired. But they didn't shoot into the air, they didn't shout, they didn't say lie down or we'll kill you. They just walked in and shot at everyone methodically in silence. The sound echoed, and we couldn't understand who was where. The attack in Krasnogorsk was claimed by the so-called Islamic State. The United States has stated that there is no reason to disbelieve these declarations. Moreover, Washington, D.C. already had knowledge of the planned attack several weeks ago. A relevant warning was sent to Moscow. Earlier this month, the U.S. government had information about a planned terrorist attack, potentially targeting large gatherings, including concerts, which prompted the State Department to issue a public warning to Americans in Russia. The Russian authorities ignored the warning. Perhaps they did not give it credence, or perhaps they did not want to prevent a tragedy at all. Now the Kremlin is trying to exploit the massacre of its own citizens. Moscow is trying to link Kiev to the attack. Vladimir Putin has stated that the terrorists intended to flee to Ukraine. The terrorists were moving toward Ukraine, where a window was prepared on the other side of the border for them to cross. They were all arrested. Already in the first hours after the attack, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev spoke in a similar tone. If it is established that they are terrorists of the Kiev regime, it is impossible to deal with them and their ideological instigators otherwise. They must all be found and ruthlessly destroyed as terrorists, including officials of the state that committed such an atrocity. This attitude was to be expected. After last week's presidential election in Russia, Vladimir Putin may once again focus on the war in Ukraine. For the past few days, the media have been speculating about another wave of mobilization in Russia, which could involve up to 200,000 citizens.
This is war. We have to be smart. Direct us with their narratives and their stories.
From the get-go, Kiev has categorically disassociated itself from any connection to Friday's attack. Let's be clear, Ukraine had absolutely nothing to do with these events. We are dealing with a full-scale, total war against the regular Russian army and the Russian Federation as a country. And no matter what, the fate of Ukraine will be decided on the battlefield. Regardless of who pulled the trigger in the Moscow concert hall, it is clear that the Russian government will try to use the tragedy to unite the nation around its Tsar. Experts do not rule out that the attack was inspired by Russian services. Putin has already reached for similar ploys in the past. Let's remember that Putin came to power as a result of a series of provocations. That is, when he was prime minister, the Federal Security Service of the Russian Federation organized a series of terrorist attacks. This was the case, among other things, in 1999, when the Federal Security Service of the Russian Federation planted explosive devices under apartment buildings in several Russian cities to provide a pretext for launching the Second Chechen War. 3 years later, Russian services inspired an attack at the Dubrovka Theater that killed more than 170 people. Friday, March 22nd, Kate, Princess of Wales, revealed that she is battling cancer and undergoing preventative chemotherapy. The princess took tests following major abdominal surgery in January, which revealed cancer had been present. Kate admitted she needed time to come to terms with her news and tell her children.
In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment. This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte, and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay.
Britain's King Charles III and members of the royal family attended a Christmas service on December 25th at St. Mary Magdalene's Church on the Sandringham estate. King Charles arrived at the church accompanied by Queen Consort Camilla and his son, Prince William, Catherine, and their children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Britain's Princess of Wales, Kate, underwent successful planned abdominal surgery and was in hospital for up to 2 weeks, Kensington Palace said on January 17th. Kate, 42, the wife of heir to the throne Prince William, was last seen in public on Christmas Day when the royal family made their annual visit to a church service near King Charles's Sandringham home in eastern England, and there was no prior indication she was unwell. Britain's Prince William on January 18th left the private London hospital where his wife Kate was recuperating after undergoing successful abdominal surgery. Prince William thanked the British public for their kind messages about his wife Kate following her recent surgery and about his father King Charles III after he was diagnosed with cancer as he returned to official duties on February 7th. The White House said it was wishing Kate a full recovery after learning that she had cancer and said Americans' thoughts were with her.
All of us just heard the terrible news. Our thoughts are with the Duchess of Cambridge and her family members and friends during this incredibly difficult time. And certainly we wish her a full recovery. And I think it's important that we respect their privacy, especially at this time. So I'm not going to go further than that. I will do one more thing before that, though. I know folks are going to ask if the president has spoken to her or the family. I can just say right now that we don't have anything to share at this time.
Messages of support poured in from world leaders, including U.S. President Joe Biden, on social media following the announcement of Kate's cancer diagnosis. Jill and I join millions around the world in praying for your full recovery, Princess Kate. The Princess of Wales has the love and support of the whole country. Your Highness, in this difficult period you are going through, Bridget and I wish you a full recovery. Your strength and resilience inspire us all. Locals and tourists across London reacted to the news of Kate's cancer diagnosis on Friday evening.
It's incredibly sad. Whenever anybody gets cancer, it's a horrible thing to hear, and I can only imagine what her family is going through right now. I hope that they can do everything they can for her and she's able to recover.
Been expecting something to happen, but I'm absolutely devastated that she's got abdominal cancer because she's a sweetheart.
I mean, obviously it's a shame for the family. I feel like they've been through quite a few hard years in the last 4 years or so. We had Prince Philip obviously died, we had the Queen obviously died, and then Charles has had cancer, and obviously Kate now has cancer as well. So I feel like they've been through the mill a little bit over the last few years, and then obviously they've had the Harry and Meghan stuff going on as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's a tough time for them.
It's shocking news, of course, and she's so young, and to have such news that you are diagnosed with cancer, that must be a real shock to the family, especially after King Charles also has this news. How much can a family take in such a short time? It's terrible news.
We wish them well. If Kate Middleton has got cancer, and we found that out tonight. That's been reported, and we hope that they recover and everything's good, So what else can be said about that?
Say, well, hang in there, but maybe because they're royal family, there will be more awareness about this, and maybe they will, do more research with regards to female health, because there's a lot. Because I know what she's going through, because I have my own, stuff that I'm going through right now.
The honesty of MP Artur Łącki of the Civic Coalition knows no bounds. The depoliticization of the prosecutor's office is based on the fact that we are in charge and not law and justice. Such words are not surprising. After the elections, his mentor, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, said straightforwardly that the law would be freely interpreted. It will be according to the law, as we understand it. The Civic Platform chairman promised before the elections to depoliticize the prosecutor's office in the courts and to separate the functions of Minister of Justice and Prosecutor General. However, this has not happened. Both functions are held by Adam Bodnar, who ran for the Civic Coalition list. This breaking of promises is of an exceptionally audacious nature. It is apparent that people having come to power completely do not know what to do. They promised all sorts of things. There they let go of the brakes of demagoguery in this election campaign. The new government's narrative about the alleged illegal surveillance of Poles during the Law and Justice government is also spilling out. In any case, was this Pegasus applied without court approval? I am not aware of such a case, at least based on what we have analyzed so far. This statement by Adam Bodnar should close the case. Any operational control using Pegasus was carried out with court approval. The creation of lists of aggrieved, etc., as he went on to say, is already political theater. By the way, who wronged in this case? Judges Tuleya or Goncharek? The Civic Platform's street and foreign strategy is still being implemented. Deputy Justice Minister Krzysztof Śmiszek discussed the alleged process of restoring the rule of law in Poland with German MEPs. I'm glad to see that former German Justice Minister, a friend of Poland, Katarina Barley, was also a member of this delegation. A supposed friend. Here's what she said about our country a few years ago. Countries like Poland and Hungary need to be financially starved. This is because EU subsidies are an effective lever. Show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are, until the pressure is on. Bogusz Jankowski, TV Republika.